And I think they can see us and they can hear us. Hopefully.
We'll,
It
we'll
should be
hope.
showing second. I think it is. All right. Hello. Hi.
I
We are here on a new little special super sexy solo session. We haven't done one of these in a while since in person with Naresh, but things worked out last session that warranted Vicky has her own personal tiny session. See what adventures she ended up going on. Hi, I am Brian Creepy. I am the DM here, the Disaster Master, here to bring another exclusive mini session in the Heist series that we're doing. And I am joined by the one and only.
Hey. Hi, I'm Vicky, and I'm playing Andy. He is a Tabaxi monk rogue, and he is babysitting. This is a babysitting roleplay.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Andy handles what has befallen him.
Oh man, oh man. He's probably like, oh man, I've never held a baby before. Oh boy.
Oh, hold on. Wait, Callum said he can hear some. I don't know if that was an old note. Nope, the stream shows that we are on there. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I guess that was an old comment. He said, I can hear you but not see you. But it looks like it's coming
Okay,
up well. So I think we're good.
good
I
to
didn't
know.
fuck up. I didn't fuck up. But hey, all right. So we are doing this, and then we're actually going to have another session, a group session, when this is done, projected around 6:30 to get the next session when everybody wakes up. So 2 weekends in a row of 3 streams. This is it's big stuff for us here. But
Oh
it
man.
does make sense because going into the holiday season, we should be out for a little bit. Next week, we are going to be out, so jam packing all the sessions and making sure we get some good content before we go out for the holiday season.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
uh, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else to announce, so we can go ahead and let this super sexy solo session number 2 disaster unfold. So, previously on Andy's little adventures, Andy had spent the night meditating with this snake shaped hourglass that he had found in Kinsel's shop the day prior when they were going there in the morning and accidentally, when Andy flipped it over, summoned a bone naga outside of the hourglass and caused a ruckus in the pawn shop. He previously got advice from his mentor Kasin to try to connect with the actual item itself through trying to touch its key, trying to touch its karma. You can form a bond and maybe understand a little bit more about it. So Andy, this night, after all the events that had transpired, decided to meditate on the hourglass in the 4 hours that he has to stay still to get his long rest every single night. So he focused in on it and ended up connecting to this hourglass, hearing words going back about something about being broken, Zolo, hearing that name in Shara, as well as all the members of Time's Alignment once more. Until when Zolo was said and Andy spoke the name out loud, sand started traveling up the snake shaped hourglass once more until instead of bursting out the top, it slowly came out and seeped into onto the floor, and then slowly started forming to form a small baby bone naga form that came up after his form and went Zolo and started getting very curious, looking around the room. Andy trying to question who it is, or if whether its name was Rastalan or what's going on, and then it started heading towards the door of Rain's apartment. After a little bit of an internal conflict for Andy, like, oh no, what do we do? Andy decided to open the
Oh,
door and let the baby bone naga out of Rain's apartment, and it started heading down the stairs, with Andy following right behind it. Um, as
I
well,
am gonna take a moment to close, and I guess I'll use my thieves' tools to lock Rain's door.
did you take Lucky with you, or did you leave Lucky in Rain's room?
Lucky is around my shoulders
Okay, so
still
you
at the
so
moment.
so you have Lucky with you. You turn around and you put your thieves tool in to try to properly lock her door. It's not that hard of a
Yeah,
DC, but roll a thieves tools check.
you got it. So that would be what, sleight of
It's
hand?
dexterity plus your proficiency, and if you were expertise in it, then you can do your proficiency both twice. But I don't think anybody took expertise in lockpicking.
Ooh, that's really good. That's 23.
23. So
Yeah.
behind you, you lock the door, and you are confident that it is closed. You give the handle a jiggle a few times, and it is
Yeah, Rain's
locked.
gonna be like, how is my door locked?
You look as soon as you finish locking, and you can see the baby Bonaga at the bottom of the stairs and starts heading outside the door. Just
Wait, can you wait for me? Maybe, maybe.
as it goes
We
around the corner and out the
okay.
door.
I'll follow.
All right, you run out into the bottom level of Rain's apartment and out into the streets, and you see her alleyway. You see the baby Bonaga rush down the stairs, and seems like it's in a rush. It's like looking around frantically.
Um, what's up, little guy? You gotta stay with me,
So,
okay? So you don't get hurt.
Zolo, Shara. It's looking around. It's like still zipping further down the alleyway.
Do I see anyone around? I just want to make sure that no one's like paying attention to us. I know it's late, but I'm
Roll a perception
concerned.
check.
Okay. A little worse. That's 14.
14. You look around Rain's the alleyway that leads to Rain's apartment, and you can see looking up, the night sky is still pretty dark. It's getting lighter, and there is a few drizzles still falling from the sky into the streets. And with that, there are some early parents that you can see up on the further balconies that seem to be trying to pull in lines of clothes that they left out last night accidentally in the storm. You can see little bit drips of water falling down. Not many people in the streets yet. There is one child who's sitting on a porch step and just looking, and it just sees the baby Bo Naga run by. And it's just like
Uh, as I follow, I'm just gonna go. Shh.
he looks at you. It's a little awesome our boy, and it's just like, shh, that thing's
Cool.
so
Thanks.
cool.
I know. I'm gonna figure out what it's doing.
You follow the
Hi.
baby Naga further down the alleyway. um, you see that the baby Bonaga, as you're walking, is just walking, going further down the alleyway. You see it's looking around. Its head keeps on shaking differently. Oh, am I about to get murdered on stream?
No, I'm feeling this over.
Okay,
My
good.
bad.
I would
Yeah.
not like to witness that. That would be bad.
And he's not in this session, but he has to be in every session. Co-creator Colin Rose.
So like I am here.
You see, this baby Bonog is just looking around. At times, he pauses in like almost amazement for a second, just looking at the structures around him, until his attention gets drawn over towards the end of the alleyway where it leads back to the street. You see something, and just start scuttering around to that corner to head out to the main street.
Can I when I catch up to it, I'm gonna say, look, buddy, wait just a second, because I don't want to get in trouble, and there are people around, so if you let me carry you, maybe we can go quietly so that we don't get found out. How's that sound?
He's looking around and then just takes a look at you. It's just like, Zolo?
Sure. I'll help you.
And then you see it move closer towards you, just slither forward, its bones just scraping across the actual like cobblestone as it's going. It gets to where
That
your
can't
foot
sound
is.
good.
Just
Yeah.
and it gets up to where your foot is, and then its forearm almost touches you and starts just turning into sand, and you can see the sand like flow up your body until all the bone turns to sand and just starts forming up near your shoulder. And you can see right on its shoulder the baby bone Naka does appear, As soon as it does right there, Lucky looks at it and just kind of has the whole cat face kind of like back how it's too close. Uh, then Zolo ends up climbing up and gets right on top of your head.
Okay.
He's just like Zolo, Zolo, and you can see he's like pointing out towards, and you look in the direction that he's pointing to. Actually, roll an insight check to see if you can tell where he's pointing.
Oh, this ought to go well. That was a natural 1.
You see him just like putting his little bone snoot forward, and it looks like he's just pointing towards the sky from your angle.
I guess I'll just start. I'm gonna kind of try to put my cloak over his head a little bit so that it just kind of looks like I'm really tall.
Okay. And you keep on walking forward, just
Yeah.
staring at the sky with the hood up until your
Yeah.
head, and you walk into a lamppost at
good.
the side of the street, and your head's a little in pain for a second, but as it does, you can see the sand slowly comes out from around your hood and travels up the lamppost itself, and then it gets over towards the light at the lamppost, and you can just hear a zoom as it's just looking at inside the actual glass container where you can see a fire.
Oh, you like the fire, bud?
Zolo.
Are you okay?
And you can see his eyes trace over towards the sky, and he goes, Zola? And it comes right back down. You see the sand swirl around the pole and come back on and appear in your hood. And you can go, he goes, Zol, and points out with his snoot again. Roll another insight check to see if you can tell where he's pointing.
I'm gonna use a different die this time. Oh my god!
What'd you roll?
I rolled a natural 2, but that's a total of 6. Oh, wait, 8. Sorry, 8 total.
6. The most
8.
you can... 8? Okay, 8.
Yeah.
The most you can tell is it's definitely pointing in the eastern direction. You're not sure exactly where in the eastern direction, but it keeps on pointing out towards an alleyway that seems to be indicating that over there.
Okay, I'll head to the alley. Could I attempt to be as stealthy as possible? I know that it's not easy, but
roll a stealth check.
Yeah. I'm using another different die.
What's your plus on stealth now?
Plus 11. So I mean,
it's fine. Even if you get a 3.
Yeah, that's a 16.
16. Okay. So, wow, that was a low roll right there.
Yep, I'm not rolling well right now. These die rolled so well earlier. Now I'm getting upset. Continue.
So you're traveling through the streets. You're traveling through the streets, and you're taking a little bit of time. It seems like it's moving you out of Salvation's corner, and starts taking you down some alleyways that lead you over towards Eastern Freedom. As you are walking, you can see there is still a very slight drizzle. The rain seems to be very much dying down. You can hear the low, distant sound of thunder echoing from somewhere far off on the land. As you do head off in that direction, it gets to a point where he walks you in front of a plot of land, nearing the edge of Eastern Freedom. You can see over to your right there is the storage areas known as Forgotten Storage, where a lot of lost items do belong. But in front of you, which is about 3 houses down from there on the edge, you can see a plot of land that looks like it had been burnt down. Roll a history check to see if you know what this building is.
Okay. Oh, I could change one of my proficiencies.
You
since
can.
I took a long rest.
You can.
Let me see which I might want.
It's part of your rogue revived skills.
It is good having it in deception, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's useful. I think I'm gonna keep it in deception. It's pretty useful where it is.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep the -3.
Were you thinking about history?
I was considering history so that it could be a 0. Just a straight roll, but it's okay. Okay, that's not too bad. That's a 9 total.
9.
Not bad for Andy.
You remember hearing of a house over in Eastern Freedom about 2 years ago burning down. You don't know too much about what caused it. The most you do know about it is it was a family that started creating a dock service on the eastern side of Xysta City. You know that the majority, or actually all of the docks are on the western side, more closely towards the like the northwestern side. But it was this one business that was trying to create some stuff on the eastern side, and there was a fire that burned it down.
Do I know if like the people were okay or if they got hurt?
Um, not from the reports that you heard. There wasn't too much that
Okay.
that caught your ears. And
Okay.
as it does get there, um, Zolo does hop off your shoulder. You can see the sand comes down once more and gets on the floor, and starts pushing forward. Zolo, and just trying to get you to come with it. Um, it
Yeah.
starts walking through the actual burnt building itself. You can see long charred wood just sitting in piles, and a lot of collapsed areas where there's still forms of structures, maybe shelves or chairs or stuff, but most of it's actually disappeared. A lot of it's all wet right now because of the rain and the little bit of water that's still falling from the sky. And until the baby bone naga does bring you over to a section of behind what looked like to be a counter. You can see there used to be a little section to open up to get behind the counter. And it seems to be looking on the floor. You're not sure what it's looking for, but it's looking for something in this area.
Okay, I guess I'll help it. I'll also start looking around, see if I can find anything interesting.
Roll an investigation check with advantage because you have the baby bone naga helping you.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, that's an 8 total. Andy's not good at investigation either.
You're looking through this area, and at first, you're looking around, and all you're seeing is just smashed little bottles, long broken. You can see there's like old plates and silverware clattered all over the ground here. Uh, it takes you a little bit of time, but eventually you do catch but with your foot bangs on something in the floor, and it seems like there's something metal underneath a pile of wood.
I'll pick it up.
You start lifting the wood off of whatever it is, and you can see there's a metal door in the floor. It seems to be uh opened ajar at this time. It doesn't seem to be locked.
Oh, so it's open.
Yes. The
I'm
baby
gonna
bone
see
nug
if
is on the
I
other
have.
side of this area, still looking through.
I'm gonna see if I have anything to make light with. I have a candle. Oh, I have a lantern. Okay, I'm gonna light my lantern
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be like, Zolo,
So,
is this what you're looking for?
and you see him slither across the area in between glass and other broken pieces of wood, and comes in and looks down. And he's like, Zolo, and he
Okay.
indicates towards the door. His body turns to sand and goes in between the cracks to get to the other side.
I'm gonna lower down the lantern and take a look in first, just to make sure there's no one like down there living.
Okay. You put the lantern inside, and you can see Zolo's body start slithering down some steps. There are stone steps. There's a lot of charred remains just on it. And it does seem you can see a little bit further down, there seems to be a light coming from a very faint light. It doesn't seem to be like candle or fire made, but like from the early morning type of like the light of outside. It's not quite light
Oh,
yet, but that like part of the night where it starts getting a little bit brighter.
okay. Yeah, I'll follow. I'll follow down the stairs.
Okay, you follow after opening the door until you get to this area that the best way you can describe it is the remains of a dockyard. About 10 rows of burnt wood seems to be hanging from blackened ceilings, and there's sections of splintered and charred planks of wood that stretch out over the open air at the edge of the city. A few bows of boats can be seen dangling on thin lines of rope, swaying in the wind. There's some anchors that sit precariously in corners, cut off from all other sections, where the floor has just been completely collapsed. Um, you can see Zolo traveling ahead of you, and seems to be going out towards the plank directly in front of you.
I follow.
Okay. You follow, and it gets to the point where you start stepping onto the solo plank by itself, Zolo traveling ahead of it on this single plank, and you look to either side and you can see nothing but the clouds below as you're walking
man.
over into this section. And it walks out about 10 feet on this just solo board itself. You can hear the little creaks of weight exchanging from one end to the other. And Zolo stops at the end of it, and you can just hear it go, Zolo! Zo! And it's looking out over towards the edge.
Turn my head and look past it. Do I see anything out there?
Roll a perception check.
Okay. That's 17.
17. Okay. So, you're looking out beyond, and give me 1 second. You see, in the distance, you could see the clouds above the mountainside. You do know the exchange of mountains to the eastern side of Xysta that separates where the crater is and where the Keystorm Desert is. They're called the Lightning Growth Barrier. And you can see those mountains just towering above where the edge of the actual crater is. The clouds slowly parting in the sky over there as the drizzle still goes on, and a very, very faint sign of light behind those mountains in that distance. And as you look out in this one direction, you can hear a voice goes, I didn't know we were going to have another visitor down here. And
I turn around.
You look and you see, not behind you, but two figures next on different planks, one to the left and one to the right of you. Both of them familiar. You can see the one who sits on the left seems to be the orange-haired tabaxi with a short snout and a lot of fine makeup applied to them, the tabaxi known as Static. And
oh my god,
to your right, where the voice actually came from, you could see the same human that you saw twice before. One during your fight, playing the music in the background, and then again after Kalia and Zane were looking for her. You can see Jasful, the girl they were looking for, with the blonde fade on the sides, with the faux hawk that's braided down her lower back. Streaks of blue circle her sharp red eyes and down her faux hawk in a swirl that turns into a swirl down her braid. She's got 2 eyebrow piercing on each eyebrow, a septum piercing, both earlobes pierced with simple rubies, and an industrial in each ear with what looks like chain links. And Jasful's just looking out at you and be like, now that's a strange creature you have there.
I don't know if I really have him, but yeah.
Static's just like, hey Andy, it's nice to see you again.
Hi, what are you guys doing here?
Oh, well, it's kind of a long story. We, and she looks over, and Jasful, she pauses for a second. Jasful leans in on her knee as she's sitting down on the plank with her head on the chin. She said, we met up here a long time ago, and it seems like once more we both decided to come here when we needed it. It's interesting that you and that creature, and she looks at it, she's like, is that a bone naga?
Technically, it's a baby, but yes.
Like,
this is actually my second one.
She looks at you confused, And Static's like,
Yeah.
you had you have another?
Yeah, it's I mean, not kind of, maybe. I have this thing and I take out the hourglass
Mm-hmm.
and I say a much bigger one popped out of here yesterday. And then this little one came out today. Um I don't really know why. And I put it back in my bag.
Jazzful lifts up her head and turns and looks at it as you had it out, and she's just like, hmm. Well, seems sorry. It seems like maybe there's another lost soul out here as well. The way he's longing for something out that I've seen that before. I wonder what this little one is looking for. And she looks out beyond the mountains themselves, looking in that direction. Static's just like, I mean, all I'm seeing is, man, all I can see is the mountains. Is there anything beyond that, Jazzful? And she says, I've learned a few things. I'd be curious as to see. And then she looks one more time over to you and she's like, you said this thing just came down here.
Yeah, it seemed like it wanted to go somewhere. It was like it was looking for something.
Well, that's what I feel like this place is for. And Static speaks up and she's like, you can actually see for the first time, Static even kind of looks sad for a second and she puts her head down and she's like, yeah, this is a nice place. And she looks out above the edge. You can see the rain still dropping down around her. You can see her, she puts out her hand, and she just moves her hand back and forth. And you can see the rain in certain sections falling down from part of the overhead of the docks in front of her. You can see her just kind of moving the water back and forth, almost like she's controlling weather in a small little area. This is a place where, well, I guess we came to call it the Charred Soul's Edge. It's the old building. The Thaliper family tried to create a eastern side dock here, and there was a fire 2 years ago. It was a time where things were a little bit weird in Jazzful. It's just like, yes, both of us, both you and I, were in a weird place back then. It's the only reason why I believe we're probably here once more. There's something about this place, and she looks around and she sees all the sections that are burnt down. She says, just coming here, sitting at the edge of the city, feeling exactly just everything, the power around and the destruction that had gone on here. Sometimes there's a little bit of peace and feel like we touch a little bit more with what we need. There's a little bit of a silence. Zolo is just looking out into the distance this time. You can hear it still crying a few times. Shava! And then it looks up to you.
Hey, buddy.
There's a long
I just like
pause.
pat its head a little bit gently.
You can see as it does rub against your skin for a second, it's almost like the bones kind of like dissipate into sand as you're rubbing your hand up against it, so it's more soft than bone. And Static just looks out at you and says, "So, uh, what have you guys been doing since the fight last night?"
Uh, well, a lot to be honest.
Yeah? Will we get into anything exciting?
Yeah, I fought a storm last night. Uh,
You,
fought,
you
yeah.
see Jazzful even kind of like cocks her eye a little bit to you, and Static's like, "You fought a storm?"
Yeah, I was training with my teacher, and a storm showed up. I don't know, it was weird.
Wow. Wow, you, well, you, you fight interesting thing. I mean, with how you fought in the battle last night, you probably kicked that storm's ass, huh?
I mean, mostly my teacher kicked its ass, but I did kick its ass just like a little bit. Just a little though.
She laughs
I'm
and
not gonna take credit where it isn't due.
she's laughing a little bit over on her plank and giggling with her arm up. You can see as she laughs, you can see her board creak a little bit, but it falls back and settles into place. And Jazzful is just like, Static. You can believe her on that one. There, I wouldn't doubt it. There's four storms reported across the city this past night.
Where were the other ones?
One of them struck over in the inner north row, in the middle of the street, over near where the Origins Institution was. Another one struck over in the Infinite Rainbow. That one was in an alleyway where there's a few clubs. And the last one was in the Rising Wing section. This one was over towards kind of near the street that walks down to the border. A little bit to the northwest of where all the incidents at the Eye of All occurred earlier today. Or earlier yesterday. It seems like there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
So much.
Oh. My friend Rain kind of seems to think that something's going on.
Jazzful is just like, the two of us were just saying something about that moments before you arrived. And Static says, yeah, something's with my Rain as well. I mean, it just feels like something's happening. And I'm a little bit worried, I'm worried whether we're doing the right thing. Seems like Rain has this grand idea that he's been chosen by someone. And Jasper's like, I feel like that's going around. I met somebody with a weird case like the one you described earlier.
Wait. Do you, does the word contamination mean anything to you?
Both of them think for a second. Static actually visually raises her head and be like, and Jasful's just still sitting with her chin on her knee, looking out over the edge. She says, not to my current knowledge. And Static's just like,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's for the best.
I mean, Static's like, at least that's not anything that Rain has said. Rain's been talking to someone named Cloud.
Like an actual Cloud, or just like a dude named
like,
Cloud?
Oh no. And she gets a little flushed for a second. She's like, "You're not gonna believe what I'm gonna say. This is just too crazy."
I sit down and I say, I've had the weirdest past 24 hours I think anybody has ever lived through, so lay it on me.
And as you sit down, Zolo kind of like comes up and curls in between your knees as you do sit down, and gets you can still pet its forehead a little bit. Lucky sitting on your shoulder gets off and walks on the plank a little bit and just teetering across the edge, walking back and forth.
Careful, buddy, I say to Lucky.
And Static is like, Rain, Rain. I'm just worried he's bringing us down a dangerous path. I can't tell if it's gonna be doing something good. He says it's gonna be doing something good. He talks to a seagull. The seagull's name is Cloud.
Okay.
He says it's here to help, and that just worries me.
Seagull told him anything like, cut off someone's head, that kind of thing, because
No,
then
no,
that's
no, no,
something to
no,
worry
no.
about, but
Oh, no, no. There's nothing bad about that. It's it's after something. Rain won't tell us what it is. It wants Rain to get it. All Rain's told us is it's something more magical than anything we've seen or felt before. Some sort of stones. I don't. Rain's very light on the details, and he's been practicing down with High Sorcerer Dagaville for quite some time, trying to develop more of his sorceress origins. I just feel like he's overworking himself for something that I can't even tell if it's good or not. She looks a little bit worried, and she sunkens down a little bit. She lets her feet dangle off the side, and the wooden board bounces up and down a little bit. She still has her hand just out in front of her, just making the rain move at different angles, almost kind of like a fidgeting thing. Like she can't keep her hand still, so she's just moving the weather around.
I say, I think I might know what you're talking about with the stones, maybe.
She's like, "Yeah,
You know my bird friend?
oh, the wind whisper, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he got knocked out unfortunately, but he seemed pretty promising. He had really cool magic. Rain seemed threatened by him.
Good to know. I'll tell him that. It'll make him feel better. 1 second. Uh, I'm gonna make a note of that.
I'm out of Mountain Dew.
He also kind of talks to someone. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to tell anybody anything he's not comfortable with, but he kind of tells everybody. So he also kind of works for someone and is also kind of looking for these stones.
Really?
They seem kind of dangerous if you ask me. I don't really know why anybody would go around looking for them.
Jazzful just speaks out and she says, I don't know anything about any stones, but I did meet somebody on my travels who also did speak to an animal. Made me think one of many reasons why things might be changing.
Well, I mean, there are animals that can talk. Did you know that? Like, out
Yes.
loud.
Yes, this is a very magical
Cool.
world. Not many around here. Most of them are tied to mythical beings or other deities, however.
Yeah. I was talking about the ones near the Grove. They're pretty cool. My boyfriend. Nope. Ex-boyfriend. Nope. Yep. Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. Ex-boyfriend.
Static
Used
kind of
to,
like Static looks away and kind of just like blushing a little bit.
Yep. Okay. Never mind.
And she says, Grove. That seems to be where that individual I met and his friends were heading to at the time. Wonder if there's any answers there. And she looks out into the distance, and you can see she has a piece of wood, and she tosses it, and it starts falling off of the city.
I just watch it, and I count in my head to see how long it takes for it to hit.
It's falling and falling and falling, and it seems like almost a minute goes by before it passes through some clouds, and then it's out of your view.
Ow.
Jasville looks out and she says, "You know that little baby friend of yours over there? It reminds me of a story I was told of as a little girl. I remember hearing mention of some sort of naga. It wasn't a bone naga, but a guardian naga. There was a place over there," and she actually lifts up her hand and points out over past the actual mountain range. There's a place known as, hold on, I have it written down right here. 1 second. Just want to make sure. A place known as the Deep Silence. It resides over past the lightning growth barrier, over near the Shield Falls. Some area where there was legend that Time's Alignment was over there at one time, fighting a naga. It was to collect something of way back in the legend, but most of it has been lost. It's the only other story that I've heard of the naga. Now, I'm not that big a believer of destiny, or at least I try not to be. But it does look like your friend there feels lost, and I've seen those longing eyes before.
People talk a lot about destiny and how they don't believe in it, but you know, if enough coincidences happen, I mean, it might as well be, right?
It's true.
Chance and fate are pretty much the same thing when it all comes down to it.
Everything is connected in some way. She says, and I share a similar worry as my friend Static over there. I'm worried whether what I'm doing is the right thing as well. And you returning to the city would mean facing my mother and destiny here, but I don't know where I should stand anymore.
I kind of feel the same way.
She actually cocks her head and looks over to you.
I mean, I have like a hazy path ahead of me, but I don't really know what comes at the end of it.
Where do you think you're heading?
I want to say something cool, but I don't know if Andy would think of it.
Roll.
You got it. Ooh, I rolled well. Okay.
Just a straight roll. So what if it's high enough in your mind?
It's high enough in my mind. It's a 15. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like I'm heading into the eye of the storm.
Yes. It seems like everything's going crazy around us, and Static's just like, yeah, but storms aren't as scary as people make them out to be. And Static seems to have seriousness in her voice for once. And she looks over at you. And she says, I don't know, there's something just calming about it. Everything's raging all around you. There's a little bit of control that I've always felt. And you can see she brings both of her hands out right now, and she kind of is starting to whip wind together in a circle. She says, storms can bring many different things, and I've been waiting for a storm to blow something different my way. I want to be able to figure out who I actually am. And she starts blowing it around, blowing more wind around, and starts one more time. It's almost like like a twitch at times. Like she's just fidgeting her hands, and the wind's just moving around randomly. This past night has been pretty clear, and good thing about a storm is there's always a sun that rises afterwards. And she like clears, she moves her hands out sideways, and she clears the rain around you guys, and the whole front expanse of you guys, the rain, there's no more water coming down. And at this exact moment too, you can see over the mountain range in front of you, you can see the lightning growth barrier is just blocking out where the sun is, until you can see that first little tint of the sun cresting over the mountains, and the storm above head breaks. You can see there's a lot of birds that are flying around, some seagulls around the area, and the light shines on all of you, kind of lighting up your skin a little bit for a second. And you could just hear Zolo, as he's looking out at the light itself, just go, Zolo, in like amazement, almost like that Caterpie in early Pokemon episode looking at the moon type of amazement. And you can see as he does do that, he walks out of your lap and gets at the exact end of the plank itself. And you see as he does that, you can see him just standing out, and both Jazzful and Static turn and look. Static kind of smiling as she's still moving her hands back and forth and just clearing the rain out, dripping from around the city. And Jazzful looks with an actual, like, kind of like curious arch of her eyebrow, and like mouth gaping open wide for a second as you see Zolo. It seems like almost from his eye sockets sand that just pouring and just falling off of the city into the wind. And then also you see the sand kind of and then get sucks back into his body. It just looks like he's crying little streaks of sand as he's looking out at the sunrise.
That's so sad, Brian.
There's a backstory here.
Oh,
And I'm laying on the foundation.
oh man.
Static and Jazz will both close their eyes. And you can see, as you look back and forth between the two of them, Static says, you know, like I said, we call this place the Charred Soul's Edge, and it's because both of us have found out that one day we met each other 2 years ago. That's when you come down to this place, if you just close your eyes for a little bit, you can listen to the souls lost in this world a little bit, and I don't know, it seems like it can help us face the oncoming fears we have with some courage and determination.
I could use some of that. I close my eyes.
You close your eyes, and all three of you sitting cross-legged on the you sitting cross-legged, Static sitting with her legs dangling, and Jaswell sitting with her head on her knee, just staring out as the sun rises over the mountains. And you just hear the faint sound of just the wind blowing through this dock area, the slight creak of the wood, and those little bows of the boats, long burnt and broken, just easing back and forth. It's peaceful. It seems clear, and after the long night storm that you just had, and all of the events yesterday that laid stress on your body, left you with the worry of all of your friends and the questioning of what was going on, you're able to find a moment of relaxing in peace as you sit here and breathe at this morning sunrise. Jazzful looks over after probably a half hour or so of just silence as the sun slowly rising over the mountains. Jazzful opens her eyes and, without even looking, she says out, "What was your name?"
Oh, I'm Andy.
And she smiles. "Tell me why would you have been drawn here? I know you were finding this, following your friend here. But everybody, I feel, comes down here for a reason. Do you feel lost at all?"
Yeah, you could say that.
Where are you from? Are you from the monastery?
Uh, recently, past 6 years or so.
And what brought you there? Did you join willingly?
No.
So you're one of the reincarnated.
Yeah, yep,
I
that's
know
me.
I know a little bit about their organization. And Static's like, "You seem to know a lot about a lot of things, Jazzful." And she's like, "I know a lot about this city. The Karma Plenty and its Infinite One, Anaslata, came in around the 1500s, around the time of the Plague of Scales, and she helped to get us Xysta out of that dark era. She had the skill to bring back people with ease. Not many people know why she was allowed to come here, but she's definitely a powerful orc. Not many like her."
Yeah, she is definitely kind of intimidating.
Who were you before?
um, well, I've always just been Andy. Uh, and I'll actually spend a key point and take out my astral arms.
The wood plank you're on a little bit, just with just the sheer force of them coming out, kind of, because there is like a force radius thing
Yeah,
now. And you can see
yeah.
both of the arms, the half elven arm and the Tabaxi arm, come out, and Static's like, because you used it in the fight in the death battle, right?
I
I
don't remember.
I
I have
think
no
you
clue.
did for a second. I'm gonna
I
say
think
you did.
maybe.
I'm gonna say you did, but
Hmm.
she's just looking at them in a little bit of amazement again. You know, she's seen them before, if we are correct. But she's looking at them, and Jazz was just like,
I point to my right arm. And I say, I used to be a half elf, but I don't know. I feel like maybe I was something else before that, but I don't really know.
Jazzles just says, "Reincarnation is a interesting thing. It's been proven correct that some people, not even from magic, but when they pass, the soul might not pass on, but inhabit another.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. And you say you're part of the monastery, so you do believe in fate and all the infinite possibilities, correct?"
Yeah. As much as I understand it, it's kind of a lot.
So the choices we make have a grand impact on the world around us. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
And she sighs for a second, and her head sinks a little bit into her knee a little bit more. "I don't know whether I have the right to ask. a group of people I just met to help my situation or not. I guess I'll see if fate puts them in my path once more.
If it does, there's never really a wrong choice.
And Static says, yeah, I mean, I came to learn that too, Jasper. Just, you gotta just know that this is the one that you're on and trust in that you're gonna make the right decision. I didn't know what was gonna happen when I joined the Origins Institute 2 years ago. I was always raised in a society where I was the pretty one, and I wanted to be more than that. And I was afraid that was going to carry over to that school, but I mean, now I have 42. I have Rain. I have Bliss. I'm finding my potential. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't. And she looks over past you at Jaspel. Wouldn't have happened if you and I didn't have that night 2 years ago here. Just seeing the staying out here and seeing the stars, seeing the sunrise. You and everything helped me face my fear with courage and determination, and I've made it so far. But I think that's why it brought me here again tonight. I don't know what's going on ahead, but being here with you, and she looks over at you for a second. Oh, did I lose Andy? I lost Andy. No! You're like the one person I can't lose because you're the only one here.
Sorry, it was just for a second. I'm back.
I just saw myself. I'm like, no, I'm talking to myself. But she's again, she's just like, I know the decision I'm making to help Rain and believe in this cloud seagull. She just looks back, kind of confused for a second, like a laugh that she's even saying that. I feel like what we're doing
chuckle
is
a little too.
I feel like what we're gonna do is the right thing.
I hope so.
Jazzful just looks off into the sun for a little bit longer. Static just looks at you and says, so what are you gonna do with your friend there? What's his name? You said it was Zolo?
I mean, it's like all he says, right? Might as well call him that.
Shara! Solo!
Well, that too. But, you know, Shara Zolo is really long.
And she's like, well, it looks like your friend has something that he wants, something that he longs for, as he looks back out towards the sun. Maybe it's beyond those mountains.
Maybe.
Jazzful says, have you ever left the city before? It can be quite clearing of your mind. I traveled for 2 years until recently coming back here.
Not as far as this me can remember. I've always just been in the city.
Well, maybe if opportunity ever arrives, you should see what's out there. There's more to life than what goes on here in the city.
If I ever, get the chance, yeah, it'd be nice. I'd really like to go to a beach. I hear they're really nice.
She laughs for a second and she says, yes, there's plenty of beaches out there. There's one over near the Field Falls at the end of Krugen's Crag. I haven't seen that one in a long time, and there's ones up north as well, but not too many.
Well, hey, Shield Falls is on the way, right?
Yes, you could take that way around. I think my destiny lies here, though, at least for the meantime. The decisions I make will be affecting a lot. I just hope I make the right one.
Whichever choice you decide to make is the right one.
She stares at you for a second. You can see her red eyes giving you a genuine look, looking at you like maybe you're right type of thing. You can see the blue like lines circling around her eyes and that just make her red pop. And she looks down for a second before her eye flickers back to you. And then she wipes her nose a little bit and a little bit of an eye, and she stands up on the board. The board creaks a little bit. She just looks out into the sun. Says, "It's a new day. There's more things that need to be done." And she turns to the two of you and says, "Thank you. And Static, I'm sure I'll see you here again someday." She's like, "Of course. It seems like I mean, these are the 2 times we showed up here and we found each other, so it seems like there's some fate with that." He gives like a little giggle and just was, "Take care." And she walks off the plank. Not off the city, but back over to the dock.
I say,
"Take care."
I say, "Good luck." As she walks away.
She gets halfway across the plank and she stops and without looking back just nods. And you see she has a backpack that has 2 side pouches on the side that they both seem pretty full. And she lifts it up and their 2 bags just kind of move back and forth. And she walks out, gets back onto the section, and heads up the stone steps. And Static's there and stands up and goes, "I've been out here for a while. Is there anything you need, Condon? Or just walking by?" Okay. And she's like, I got a little bit of sleep. It's going to be an interesting day of classes." And she cracks her head a little bit. It was nice seeing you again, Andy.
See you too, Static.
Well, you can stay out here if you want, as long as you need. It seems like you're part of, this is your spot as well now.
I'm glad we can share.
She blushes for a second, and then she walks back over, kind of like with her arms out, and you can see little bursts of air coming out from her hands and like push her back and forth as she walks across the board until she gets to the end and she heads up the step.
I stay for a while. As long as Solo doesn't seem like he wants to leave yet, I'd like to take a short rest, to be honest.
Okay. Especially with that
back.
especially with that long time you did spend resting and listening. You can spend another half hour or so and that comes together for a short rest.
Cool, thanks.
And then afterwards, as the sun has fully risen above the mountain, it's probably around, you'd say, 6:30 in the morning.
Okay, so
you can see Zolo you can see just kind of cracks his head a little bit and then turns back to you and goes, Zolo.
Yeah, we should head back to Rains.
And then Zolo, and he moves back to your body and turns to sand, and the sand just like stays in that form around your skin. It seems like if you feel like sand moving in between your fur before it just settles and stays there.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I stand up. I grab Lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And
Lucky
put him around my shoulder again.
Just looks at you.
Hey, buddy. We gotta get going. And I, like, put my hand down so he can, like, walk up.
Crawls up and just gets on his perch around your neck.
I'll head back to Rains.
Okay. You
There you go. Got the stream deck over here.
All right, are we back on? We're live?
Hi,
Okay,
guys.
our stream just died on my computer, so we are on in the other room just to finish this one, and then we'll figure out what the
So
fuck
weird.
happened until before the next session. But continuing,
gosh.
Vicky, you were walking
Yeah.
back through Eastern Freedom. Takes about I'd say about a half hour or so from where you were at with morning pace to walk through the city. You can start seeing the normal morning people walking. You can see carts traveling and carrying all sorts of goods like breads, apples, and things like that, and also some wood
Can
and
you
tools.
ask Conlon real quick what Rain's like favorite fruit is, maybe?
Conlon, what is Rain's favorite fruit? What is Rain's favorite fruit?
Rain's favorite fruit. Kiwis.
Kiwis. Roll a history check to see if you know that.
Oh, come on. Fine. 8.
8. You know the color of her favorite fruit.
Oh. So I know it's green.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, there's only like 3 green fruits.
Roll a d4. Decide what to each.
Okay, so one is pear, one is apple, one is kiwi. What's the 4th one?
4. Just re-roll on a 4.
Okay. I rolled a 1, so I get her a pear.
So you go and get a pear.
I get her a pear, and I get her like a toasted croissant, maybe.
Okay, you get a
Yeah.
pear would be a copper, a toasted croissant would probably be at a small shop walking through the section. I'd say probably 5. I'd probably say a silver for toasted croissant. So 1 copper, 1 silver.
Okay.
And you make it back over to Rain's apartment.
Yeah.
You
I
walk.
guess
It's a little bit
let
more
myself
active.
in.
It's a little bit more active, the street at this time of day. You can see the children outside. New clothes are getting strung up on the lines to dry off from the storm last night. And you make it to the door of Rain's apartment.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to let myself in.
Roll
Just
a
quietly.
Thieves' Tools check.
You got it. Oh man, I keep dropping my die. I don't know why. Okay, that's 22, I think.
22. You stick your thieves' tools into the lock, unlock the door, and the door opens. And as you do, you just hear a loud something snap coming from Rain's room.
I take a look around really quick and like put on my you know what I mean,
The brass
my
knuckles.
things. Yeah, I put on my
All
brass
right.
knuckles.
Roll a perception check.
You got it. Ooh, that's an 11.
11. You don't see anything out of the ordinary in her room. You can see Pitch in the corner who's just like, Pitch, Pitch. And the sound itself sounded like it was coming from Rain's room.
I close the door and lock it behind me, and then
Okay.
I just knock on Rain's door and say, Rain, you okay?
And that is where we will end your super secret sexy solo session. So, fun little time.
Man.
This was a nice little role-playing session where I learned quite a few things and new character growth and development of some NPCs and PCs. But yeah, I had super fun with that, Vicky. Did you enjoy that?
Me too. Yeah, I had a great time.
You got a little buddy now.
I was all anxious for no reason. That was so low pressure.
I'm not gonna throw a fight at every session.
I was just worried that like the guards would be like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'd have to be like, "I don't know."
I'm trying to figure that out.
I probably would have been like, "This is an assignment from my teacher," which is true. So that would have probably been my idea.
Well, thank you all for coming along. Who's still here after we crashed for the
Thanks for sticking around.
Super secret sexy solo session. We will be back in an hour for a session with everybody else just to see where things kick off for the 3rd day of the heist preparation. 2 days left. So we'll see you all in about an hour. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Transition. They can still hear me right now.